Hi everyone, my name is Aurelian and I work as an interior designer for more than 10 years. I'm using 3ds Max and Vray to create my renders, and today I would like to share with you my experience of creating photorealistic interiors. And in this course, we will talk about a very important, I would say, a half of render success. We will talk about light in interior design and in Vray. This course is divided into three big parts, and in the first part we will talk about setting up your lights, adjusting and balancing them. That is the key to photorealism in your renders. Everything we see in our images is reflection. I mean, everything is the same like in our reality. We can see objects around us because of reflection. That is actually bringing the shape and the color information to our eyes, and we are able to perceive that. Now, if we aim to obtain photorealism in our renders, we will have to simulate that in our 3D software. That's why first we will have to understand what is light, what it means to draw with light. That's actually what we are doing when we create our renders. And we will talk about RGB and how it is linked to V-Ray. We must understand light's features like brightness and gamma, what is a color space, and how that links to our camera. By the way, our camera from reality is simulated in V-Ray, and we must understand how to adjust it so we can get the best of it. We must understand the process how an image is formed. Only in that way we will be able to correct the issues that appear in our draft renders, until we bring that to the final render stage that we show to our clients. We will discuss what is an input, raw version of the info that we are loading, and what is an output, what is a gamma correction, how that interacts between the three factors that we load, how our computer perceives that, and between V-Ray, the engine that we are using to create our 3D renders of our images. We will talk about exposure and how to balance that, how that is linked to V-Ray, what is a color mapping, what types we have, and what method we use to create our renders. That is crucial to understand if we aim to balance tones in our image. A good contrast means a good visual pleasant image. All that will form the first part of our course. In the second part, we will start to learn V-Ray lights. We must first understand what types of lights we have and how they perform in V-Ray, so we can further understand how to adjust them according to interior design rules. We will talk about all V-Ray lights, we will talk about V-Ray sun and V-Ray sky and all their properties, and we will also talk about one of the key factors of our photorealism. We will talk about HDRIs. This is actually the key to simulate realistic light, and we must understand how they perform and all their properties. When we will balance our light outside, which is the natural light, we will have to pass to our interior sources, our artificial lights. And as we are talking about interior design, this will actually be a more important part, as if we are talking about exteriors, the outside light is crucial there, but in interiors, the artificial sources are actually what are creating the interior light and design. We must understand how many sources of light we have to use in our reality, understand how the sources perform in our real spaces, and after that, trying to simulate that in our renders. The biggest problem when we struggle to obtain photorealism is that our lights, interior lights, are not set as in reality. There are actually three phases. First, we must set our main lights. We also have to take into account the style and shapes, but in this course we will talk about the adjusting part of our lights. The second phase is adding our hidden lights and decor lighting. It must fill up the dark parts. We can identify them by creating light tests. We will talk about that in the third part of our course. And the third phase, it's adjusting according to interior settings all those lights, adjusting their intensity so we don't get, for example, brighter additional or hidden lights than our main source interior light. There is no such a thing like a template with ready numbers of intensity, as lights in 3ds Max and V-Ray do not perform as simple as in reality. You install a light and it already works according to all rules, physically accurate. We will have to adjust that. This is our job as interior design creators. That's why, if we want to understand how to adjust that, we must first understand how all that lights perform and their properties. We must understand what is light temperature. We will always use temperature in interiors. This is another key to photorealism. We will talk about light types. We will take apart ready lights so we can understand how they are constructed and how we can adjust them. Another big problem is that a lot of beginners actually bring ready models, 3D lights, in their renders and they expect that they should already work as in reality. You install in reality a light source and that's it. It works. In Vray, if you seek to obtain photorealism, you'll have to take a few more steps. You'll have to identify the light type, how it emits light. In 3ds Max and Vray, all the lights belong to one of these three types, no matter what lights you are using. That's why we'll have to take apart ready models so we can first understand the principles, how they work. I'll show, by the way, a few examples from a real interior project, but this course is not a 3D project. It's more like a technical lesson of the light principles and features that must be understood before getting to real 3D projects. And last, the third part will be like a practice part. We will talk about how we implement all this previous knowledge and how we start to link that with real examples. We will talk about what is a light test, how we use Vray Light Mix to fine-tune our lights before our render will face post-production in Photoshop, and we will get to the final stage. We will talk about some lights effects like Vray Lens Effect, Vray IAS, and finally, how to set up our final render settings. And that's why I invite you all to join this course. It will bring you a full understanding how lights technically work and how to reach photorealism in your renders. Okay, let's get started.